How's it going?
It's going well.
It is.
We're here.
Is it going
The,
well?
yeah, the party start.
The party is
Yeah.
starting. It's going, y'all, for me. Y'all know
Yeah.
I'm a federal worker and I'm in the crosshairs
Right.
of life of this new administration. And it's
We're
it's
in the upside down, and we're just praying for you because
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh
definitely
my.
a trying times. It's trying times because I love what I do. That's the hard part about all this, that I love what I do and I know that I help people. You know what I mean? Being a civil servant is usually, something that you really want to help people. So,
yeah,
you know,
thank you. Thank you.
yeah, but this kind of, goes to the top there we're gonna talk about tonight, y'all. And I think we're probably all pretty guilty of um working, excessively at some period in our life because I just remember Celeste when we was at that other company
Yeah, please.
that was that was just
Inhumane.
the norm. So tonight I just want to talk about the topic of black women. Should black women stop overworking, unlearning the strong black woman mindset? That's a deep one. Mm,
Hmm.
Unlearning the strong woman mindset.
I'm
Well,
saying,
I
mm,
would say we don't have to unlearn the mindset. I think we need to embrace our vulnerability.
mm-hmm.
I think that in trying to overcome the mindset of the strong woman, just be the strong women that we are, but also in being that strong woman, allow our vulnerability to come through at the right times. And wanting to be able to do that. There's nothing wrong with having the desire to do that and to be that.
mm,
And I think to encourage each other by saying it's okay to be vulnerable, not only with each other within our circles, but with our men. You know what I mean? And so, yes, you can't do it with everyone because you're not supposed to. Everyone does not deserve your vulnerability, but being able to recognize when you are allowed to be that way and to let it be a part of who you are so that you can completely and fully thrive and not feel so exhausted all the time.
I would agree, yes, that we should stop doing that because we think that's a badge of honor, and it's not. And you got to know when to say when. You got to know what your limits are. You got to recognize and you got to put a put a put a limit to it because it's not good for your health. You will find yourself unhealthy. Everybody else is thriving, and you're the one with all the issues
mm,
because stress and overwork does play a part in your physical body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is not a badge of honor.
Celeste?
I'm always thinking differently, which is scares me
You
sometimes
ain't heard my comments yet, but go ahead.
because first of all, that's who I am. I got a control issue too, so I don't really want nobody to touch my stuff. I want to do it myself. There's that. And then there's always, not always, most of the time it's this guy that's getting paid more. So I'm working myself in a frenzy, just making sure I have value so I can get, you know what I'm saying, what I deserve. So I don't think I don't feel like it's a badge of honor for me, but I feel like I've always been trained to work just as even harder because I needed to, and that's what I do. It's just a habit at this point, and it happens every day. Literally, it could be he and I working. He falls off his game. Nobody says nothing. If I even look like I'm about to fall off, just like Celeste, are you okay? You need help? No, I don't need no help. You ask him that. So
Mm.
I feel like I'm always constantly staying
On
on top.
guard. You're on
Yeah.
guard. You're on
And
guard.
making sure everything is done to a T. Like that last email of the night, like, okay, everything is good. Yes. It could be after hours because I'm just constantly making sure that I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. And that's overwork. You're right, Keisha, but that's not what I think when I'm doing it.
I think that the strong Black woman is not a badge of honor, like everyone is pretty much saying. Um, and I think that it's a title that was given to us because of the disappointment that we constantly have by societal expectations, by relationships that, people sum us up with basically saying that we're overly aggressive, we're overly sexual, we're overly everything else just to be competitive in this society.
Mhm.
Um, which I think is all overrated. I'm just gonna say it. But why I don't like the strong Black woman is because of things that we are forced to do. When you say overwork, sometimes it's not the fact that you have a choice. You see what I'm saying? And because you don't have a choice, what if you were like that mom that, you know, you just want to see your two kids get to college? You see what I'm saying? And you have to do it because there's
Mhm.
nobody there to support. You see what I'm saying? I think if they leave the labels away, it wouldn't be looked upon as something that's negative. That's just my feel on it.
Mhm.
Um, but for myself right now, I'm not in that mode no more because I don't believe in overworking nothing. I'm just being honest. Um,
Mhm.
I don't not meet my expectations for myself, for my job. I do meet them. But when we say going above and beyond to overwork myself, I don't do that anymore because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I have to make sure that I stay healthy. That's number one. Um, Number two, if I know I'm looking the disrespect right in my face, why do I need to try to run a race with it? You see what I'm saying? I
Now,
think differently now. I really think differently now. Like on a traditional job that I do have, I always am exceeding what expectation is, but I'm not overworking it. You see what I'm saying? I'm overworking in my mind things like my little businesses and things like that because that's for me. You see what I'm saying? That's for me. I've told y'all these stories on the porch several times where we've been in environments, Celeste, you can raise your hand to this, where we saw people overwork and died. You know what I mean? They flipped the chair and hell, that person gone. You know what I mean? So I don't think that that's important to me anymore. It was important
I,
back in the day, but now
I
it's
so
don't want to. I don't want to make have a blanket statement to say that just like for instance Celeste and the job and what you do.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you should work, that you should not work and you should not do your best, because we know in this society with us we have to be 10 times more, 10 times better and whatever. But what I'm saying is the label of being able to handle everything anytime, being a strong Black woman, anything you throw at me, I can handle it at any time, and we can.
Mhm.
we
However,
have to, right.
should you have to do that? And
Mhm.
just
And
like Chauncey said with the vulnerability, you should be able to say, you know what, I can't take this weight. Oh, I don't even want to take this weight because it's too much. And I'm not just saying job related, because your job is your job, but if you
Mhm.
do that in every aspect of your life with every single thing, you
I
got
do.
a demanding job, you got a
Mhm.
demanding home, you got a demanding whatever, and everything
Yeah.
is pulling at you at once. You can't maintain and you can't handle that. That was where I was coming from with
I
my
have that problem. I
and
told
the
my
thing
boss
is,
today, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and the thing is, are we conflating um, overworked with working hard? And I think many of us work hard, right? We have found a place in our jobs, in our careers, more say, right, where we work hard. And there's nothing wrong with working hard, but there is something wrong with being overworked.
No.
And to me, there is a difference.
Mhm.
When you speak to making sure you're not asking him if he's all right. But you're asking me. They're asking you because they know they've asked you 10 things more than they've asked of him.
Mm-hmm.
They have to ask you, are you all right? Not because they really care, but they just double checking. Oh, I gave her 10 more things than I gave Johnny, and she's still getting it done. Do you need help? No, I don't need help. I got it. You know what I mean? And so we get stuck with the mindset, no, I don't need your help. I got it. And
Mm-hmm.
so how I feel what Keisha is saying is we take that mindset, especially for women, because with a lot of us had to be single moms or whatever, we take that mindset and now we take it home. And so then now, can we have that relationship at home? Because at work, I got to have it. I got to be able to do it. I got to be able to say, I have it. Now you've taken it and you can't have that vulnerability at home because at work, you're on guard all day long because they keep throwing stuff at you and you got to feel like you have to take it so that you can compete. And so, yeah, I think there's a difference in the two, overworked and working hard.
It
I
is. So
work hard at my job. You know what I
told
mean?
my boss today, I says, listen, I said, I realized something about you. I think you throw things at me because you know I'm going to catch it. And you know I'm going to follow it up. I said, I'm going to get one of those dart boards with the little scrunchy balls that stick. And every time you throw something at me, I'm going to write it on a black marker and stick. So when you come in my office, you can see how many things you threw at me.
Right.
Dude, you out of control at this point. So you're right. No matter what he throws at me, I'm going to do it. But I don't think he even pays attention to how many things. So today I asked for a meeting so I could review some stuff with him. And he said, what's this meeting about? And I told him, and he said, oh, and kind of talked for about 5 minutes. I said, you don't know what, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? He said, no, I really don't remember. I was like, that's not okay.
Right.
You don't have the capacity to remember everything you gave me, then that means I don't have the capacity to
do
put all that work out.
But I think he does that because he's assured that you are
exactly
get it done.
So I have
But
to
it's good that you made him aware of it, and
Yeah.
you should do that. Make that visual so you know, and
We can
that's
see
taking
it.
back your power, and it's taking it back. It's really de-stressing. No, that's not a word, but alleviating the stress off you because now he realizing if
he's gonna see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I said I'm gonna do a better job
because that's the overworked. You're bored. You're bored of the overwork.
But you know what? Not really, because you know how we are. We gonna get it done. Delegated.
No. That doesn't mean that you're overworked. See, you're meeting the expectation, so then therefore you feel like it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
You just got finished saying the dartboard. Everything he's throwing at you. Look how ridiculous it looks. That is overworked. However, you're a hard worker who's confusing the hard work that you do with being overworked.
That's
true. And so therefore, you went and had a conversation with him. He don't even remember half the stuff that he's giving you. Therefore, if you fell short, how would he even know?
He wouldn't know, but he knows I'm not going to fall short. So this is what we agreed on.
Don't get that twisted. He'll know if you fell short.
No. He said, I'm going to do it better.
What he thrown at you? It was something his ass supposed to have been doing.
Somebody gave it to him, He said, I'm going to do a better job with doing that. I said, that's okay, because I'm going to do a better job at throwing it back.
Hey,
okay.
That part right there. That's what I'm saying. That's part.
Okay. I made this meeting today. You're going to be with me when I do this project. That's what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's true. It's true. But also, after being where we used to work, this is a piece of cake. I get off at 5. There we were working at night, working up here
weekends, and like you thought you was getting paid really well, but you really weren't.
You was getting
the hours you were working.
I just had this conversation with my
minimum wage.
Like, oh, were you less? Were you happy with your bonus? And I'm like, it was nice. And she was like, I don't know what you mean. If it was not. It was nice, okay? But when they tax it and you get less than half of it, then it no longer becomes a bonus, right? However, if I'm talking to my director and I say to you and we have a conversation, you have now given me 5 more job descriptions than I previously had. We need to have the conversation about being compensated for more. You have to learn how to have the conversations, whether my problem is I can have the conversation at work, but it's harder for me to have the conversation at home. So you have to be able to say, okay, listen, this is my boundary. This is what I can do. This is what I'm no longer going to do. But again, working hard, because there's nothing wrong with working hard, not a thing wrong with it, but overworked,
Mm-hmm.
being different. And
Mhm.
so that's where we're like, okay, and that's where to me, Kimmy poses the question, you know, should we slow it down? Because we're setting a standard. You're setting a bar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're setting a bar for every Black woman that comes behind you doing a similar or same job,
I'm gonna
right?
reset it.
But is that a good thing or is that a bad thing, right?
Right.
Especially if they're coming behind you making less money than you are. That ain't fair to them. But they're going to do the same thing, but may not get the same reward on the other side. So you have to be able to manage and know and understand how to value yourself and how to advocate for yourself, um, so that you're no longer put in that position.
So I did have a boss that I worked with at the same place that asked me, why are you working so hard?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good boss.
And I was like, why are you not? Like, I don't understand.
That's a
You
good
ain't
boss.
doing
Well,
nothing.
because again, are you working hard or did they see that you were overworked? And
Yeah,
there,
it was definitely overworked. Yeah.
see what I mean? You were overworked, and
These
now they're
jobs
like,
don't be caring if you overworked. Yeah, that's why I said that's a good boss. Guess what?
No, I
They
no.
only care about
Actually,
bottom line.
actually, I don't think she wanted me to succeed. I think when she hired me for the job,
Uh-huh.
she thought, because I really was the interview, I was so relaxed and so laid back. I was like, look, she asked me a few questions about what do you do if your team is not performing? I said, oh Lord, I ain't never had that happen. Hold on, let me think about that. I ain't never had no team that didn't perform. Hold
Mhm.
on. And she still hired me. So I thought, oh, okay, she really don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this job.
Mhm.
And she used to say, don't worry, it's a river. You'll never get it all done. And when I did, she said, I don't know why you had to. She just was not expecting that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's
know that sounds
so
terrible, but sometimes they
it
put us in
doesn't
those
sound,
positions.
Microaggressions.
but
Yeah.
it really. But at the same time, you had to look at the situation. So now you were working for one person and now you're working for someone else. So the mindset might change a little bit or whatever. But I just say, you know, work hard, just don't let them overwork you.
Exactly.
I just want to work.
Mhm.
Never mind. To be honest on the situation.
And my example of work hard is this. You work hard, you do a good job. But there are times for me, there are times of the year that are busier than others. So I'm working very hard. But at that busy time of year, I'm being overworked.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? But I feel like there's a balance because that's supposed to be 1 quarter. But what I have been finding is that them quarters have been feeding into each other still. And I'm
Mhm.
like, so then now I'm being overworked, right? And so that's when it's time for you to have a conversation with your management. And as I said to my boss recently, but what we're not going to do is now you're going to say, well, then let me pull some of this. And now that you've gotten the butter from the duck, you ain't gonna pull it back. I ain't gonna give you all of it, and then now you'll pull it back, and now you don't want to give me no money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they
Do
don't want
y'all
to give.
know that I never take bonuses?
You don't?
Mm.
Why?
You
I
have a
just,
choice.
yeah, in the federal government, you can take a bonus or you can take like time off. I always take time off.
I wish
Good.
they would give me a
Mm.
choice.
I always take time off because I feel like this, I'm not being taxed on that like that. You see what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
I really can enjoy my time away. You know what I mean? I don't want like something monetary that I spent on something that gonna go like this. I want to see
Yeah,
like
that makes
time.
sense.
Mhm.
I just
I
gave the
never take
lady
it.
two
People
two
ask
days
me that, like,
off.
really, girl, didn't they give a good one? I said, I don't know what they gave, but I knew how much time they gave. And guess what? If you give me equivalent to almost 2 weeks of work, yeah, I'm good with that. Like, I got time over
That
time
makes
over
sense.
time.
That makes
Tell
sense.
you, I have a client that said to me the other day, and she said, "Oh, I'm going away." I thought she was leaving the country and going on sabbatical for several months. And she goes, "No." She goes, in this particular job, and I won't say what industry she's in or whatever, but she happened to say that every 5 years they give us a 3-month sabbatical. Because really, that's how stressful what they do is. It's very important work, but I'm sure it's very stressful. So what they do for their people is every 5 years, they give them a 3-month sabbatical.
They probably hoping you make it to 5 years doing this stuff like I'm just
But
saying.
and they still have vacation time in between there, but they get this 3-month sabbatical. And I said to myself, wow, understanding the mindset, understanding the industry that they're in and the work that they do, and they know this person needs more than just those 2 or 4 weeks they might get in a year to take their vacation or whatever number they get. But they need a whole reset, right?
Mhm.
And you remember after Eric passed away, I, took some time off from work. Girl,
Yeah, I think
same
I
thing.
think
I'm
jobs
just
like that is good. Don't wait 5 years though, because you don't know 5 years is a big span. You know what I mean?
Well, again, that's not vacation. That doesn't mean they don't have vacation time. I'm just saying a 3-month sabbatical, that's a big deal.
Well,
That
how's
that's
that company running? I mean, that's my sister used to work for a job similar to that, but it was every winter. You know what I mean? It was like it was closed for like 2 months, and I was like, okay,
okay.
that's
Yeah,
all
I've known
right.
companies that close for a couple weeks every, certain time of the year. They just shut down for 2 weeks or whatever. And again, that's not inclusive of people's vacations, but they just kind of close down for 2 weeks. And it makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
I just say at this age, I'll be honest, and we can hit final thoughts. At this age, I'm not gonna overwork. I will always work diligently at any job I do, just to be successful for myself,
Right.
meet my expectations. That's very important. I learned, you know, early in life that, and I'm gonna say early, like when my children was young, the sacrifices you think you're making for a job is
Mhm.
you're never going to meet that expectation. If anything, you're going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of phrase that I do it for myself. The strong black woman title, I think it would be more receptive of others if they treated us all fairly. That's just how I feel about it. Don't give me this title when you have an unjust mindset far as what you think my value is, pretty much. So, final thoughts. Celeste?
Well, I've learned a lot about myself during this conversation, but I'm going to try to separate working hard from holding on to my values and
Hmm.
how I was raised, and see if I can come to some medium.
Hmm. You always have to be a happy medium.
Hmm.
Chauncey?
Um, uh, Again, knowing the difference between overworked and working hard. Like Kim said, I'm going to always do my best because I work in an industry where I have clients and the work that I do affects many, many people. I'm always going to give them the best that I have. So I'm always going to work hard for them. But I am learning at this age, being overworked is a no-no. And unless I choose to be overworked, I'm going to learn those boundaries and learn how to set them.
Keisha?
I know at different points in our careers that there are times where we have to really dig in and really work hard, but um, you have to, as you all said, set your boundaries. You have to take back your power by having those conversations, and you got to do my favorite line: "I'm with you in spirit." I'm with you in spirit. Yeah.
I like that.
All right, y'all. This was a great episode. So joining me tonight,
Is your girl Celeste, and taking care of oneself is not selfish, it's necessary.
I'm Chauncey. Do all the good that you can for as long as you absolutely can.
And I'm Keisha. Learn and grow in your own lane.
love it. And I'm your girl, Kimmy. Have a great week on purpose, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.